You work hard, day after day, yet your bank account doesn't reflect the sweat, the effort, or the endless sacrifices you've made. Bills pile up, opportunities slip through your fingers, and sometimes you wonder if financial freedom is only reserved for others. That frustration, that invisible weight pressing down on your chest, is the reason you're here. Because deep inside, you know there must be a different way. But let me ask you this. What if the difference between a life of constant struggle and a life of abundance is not luck, not even talent, but 6 hidden habits that millionaires quietly repeat every single day? And here's the real twist. These habits are not complicated. They are simple, powerful, and available to you if you dare to apply them. Imagine you're holding a key. The lock it belongs to is massive, ancient, and intimidating. Behind it, there's a vault filled with freedom, choices, and time. For years, you've carried this key in your pocket without even realizing it. Tonight, I'll show you what that key really is. Stay with me. Share your thoughts in the comments as we go. This is not just another video. It's your moment to unlock something bigger. Before we dive into the 6 millionaire habits, let's pause for a moment. Because understanding what these habits mean before applying them is just as important as the habits themselves. If you only chase tactics without grasping the foundation, you'll end up frustrated, repeating the same cycle of effort without results. Think about this. There's a young professional named Daniel. He works long hours, answers emails late into the night, and never says no to extra tasks at his job. From the outside, he looks dedicated. People even admire his work ethic. But here's the truth. Daniel isn't moving forward financially. He's exhausted, stuck in the same paycheck-to-paycheck loop. Why? Because effort alone doesn't create wealth. It's the direction of your actions, guided by principles and habits, that makes the difference. Now let me ask you directly, how many times have you felt like Daniel? Working harder than ever, yet realizing you're standing in the same spot, or worse, sliding backwards. That's not laziness, and it's not lack of intelligence. It's simply a lack of the right habits, the ones millionaires guard as if they were treasures. Here's the friction you need to face. If you don't understand these habits and put them into practice, the cost is not neutral. It's not just about missing out on success. No, the cost is years of wasted potential, of watching opportunities pass you by while others, less talented, move ahead. And let's be honest, that sting of regret can be sharper than any financial struggle. In fact, I'll share a real story later in this video about someone who ignored these very principles and how it nearly destroyed their future. But I'll also show you the turning point, the moment where they discovered the same habits we're about to uncover. That story might sound uncomfortably familiar to you, so here's where we stand. 6 habits, 6 keys. Each one is simple to grasp, but powerful enough to reshape how you see money, time, and opportunity. And as we unfold them, you'll start to recognize which of them you've been missing in your own life. Now let's take the first step together, because the very first habit might surprise you more than you think. Now let's develop this fully. Millionaire habits are not magic tricks. They are disciplines, patterns of thinking and acting that, when repeated, shape a life of abundance. And here's the truth. You don't need all 6 habits at once. You need to start with just one and commit to it until it becomes part of who you are. Let me tell you a story. Years ago, there was a young woman named Clara. She had a stable job, decent pay, and a comfortable routine. Every Friday, she promised herself she would start saving next month. But every weekend, her money disappeared on impulse buys. New clothes she didn't need, dinners she barely remembered, gadgets that collected dust. One day, her car broke down, and the repair cost was higher than her monthly salary. She panicked, borrowed money, and felt ashamed. That was the wake-up call. Clara realized she had been living like someone bailing water out of a sinking boat with a teacup. No matter how hard she worked, without a system, without habits, she would always drown when the storm hit. That's the metaphor you need to picture. Your financial life is like a boat. Without the right habits, even small leaks eventually sink it. But with strong, consistent habits, that boat becomes unsinkable. Millionaires don't have fewer storms than you. They just built stronger boats. Now, let's bring in a bit of humor. Imagine this. You're standing in the supermarket and you see someone with a cart stacked to the ceiling. Chips, soda, plastic toys, things they clearly didn't plan to buy. They're sweating as they push it, but they keep adding more. That's how most people treat their finances. They fill their life cart with things they don't need, then wonder why they can't afford the things they truly want. Millionaires do the opposite. Their cart looks boring at first glance, just the essentials, but behind that discipline hides the freedom to buy what truly matters later. And here's where Jim Rohn's wisdom cuts through like a sharp blade. He once said, "Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment." Think about that. You can dream about wealth, you can write goals on paper, you can even work hard every day. But without the bridge of disciplined habits, you'll never cross the gap. The bridge is the habit of saving first, the habit of learning daily, the habit of investing consistently, the habit of saying no when everyone else says yes. Let's dig deeper into the emotional core. Millionaires don't just do habits, they attach meaning to them. Waking up early isn't about the alarm clock. It's about taking control of your day before the world takes it from you. Tracking expenses isn't about numbers. It's about telling your money where to go instead of wondering where it went. Reading books isn't about pages. It's about expanding your mind so you can see opportunities others miss. Now here's the uncomfortable truth. If you avoid these habits, your future is already being decided, and not by you. By your boss, by the economy, by every bill that arrives in your mailbox. That's the cost of inaction. But let me make it practical. Imagine yourself 5 years from now. Do you want to look back and say, "I wish I had started then," or do you want to look back and say, "That's the year everything changed because I finally built the habits that made me free"? So let me ask you directly, which habit is the one you know you've been avoiding? The one you keep postponing because it feels uncomfortable? Be honest with yourself, because the habit you resist the most is often the one that could transform your life the fastest. And here's the good news. We're not done yet. Because what comes next is where we move from awareness to mastery, where these 6 habits stop being theory and start becoming part of your daily life. Let's close this section with clarity. We've uncovered that millionaire habits are not mysterious secrets, but choices repeated until they become character. We've seen how small daily actions, saving, learning, investing, saying no, are the very foundation of financial freedom. And if you've been listening carefully, you already know one truth. Wealth doesn't begin in your wallet, it begins in your routine. But now, let me challenge you. Imagine this uncomfortable scene. It's the end of the month. You open your bank app, and the balance stares back at you, almost empty. You scroll, you see where the money went, coffee runs, online orders, dinners out, subscriptions you forgot existed. None of them felt dangerous in the moment, but together, they robbed your future. Does that sound familiar? It should, because this is the silent trap that keeps millions stuck. Death by 1,000 tiny decisions. And here's the mirror I want to hold up for you. If you keep doing what you're doing, you'll keep getting what you're getting. Read that again. It's not the economy, not your boss, not luck. It's the habits you allow or refuse. That's why millionaires seem so different. They're not superhuman. They simply chose habits that most people avoid. So I want you to pause for a moment and be honest with yourself. Which one of the 6 habits we've started to uncover feels the hardest for you? Is it saving first before you spend? Is it the discipline of saying no when your friends say yes? Or is it dedicating time every single day to growth when it feels easier to scroll endlessly? I want you to drop your answer in the comments, because your honesty might inspire someone else who is fighting the same battle. And when you write it, you're not just leaving a comment, you're drawing a line in the sand, telling yourself, this is the habit I will no longer ignore. This is where the challenge becomes personal, because in truth, the only difference between you and the millionaire is not opportunity, it's choice. And today, you are standing at the edge of that choice. You can step back into the old cycle, or you can step forward into the beginning of freedom. And here's where things get exciting, because in the next part, we're not just talking about habits anymore. We're going to step into a deeper space of understanding, where you'll see how to transform those habits into lasting change. This is where it gets real. Do you remember the image we painted at the beginning? A traveler standing at a crossroads, holding a map but unsure which path to follow. That symbol was never just about direction, it was about you. Because now, after walking through these 6 habits, you've seen that the wealthy don't have a secret road, they simply choose the right path at every intersection. And each step compounds until it shapes an entirely different destiny. Now, imagine yourself years from today. You wake up without the weight of bills pressing down on your chest. You check your account, and instead of fear, you see freedom, investments growing, savings strong, opportunities waiting. You feel peace because you built it brick by brick, habit by habit. That future version of you is not a dream. It's a mirror of what could be if you decide today. But here's the question I need you to ask yourself, and I want you to be brutally honest. Are you truly ready to leave behind the small habits that have been quietly stealing your future? Not tomorrow, not someday, but now. Because nothing changes until you decide that the pain of staying the same is greater than the discomfort of change. And let's be clear, this isn't about chasing millions for the sake of money. It's about becoming the kind of person who commands freedom, who sets an example for their family, who looks back without regret. That's the gift hidden inside these habits. So take a deep breath. Picture that traveler again, standing at the fork in the road. One path loops back to where you've always been, comfortable, familiar, but limiting. The other leads into the unknown, but with the promise of growth and wealth earned with intention. Which road will you take? Because as we step into the final part of this journey, the choice will no longer feel abstract. It will become real, immediate, and deeply personal. And once you see it clearly, there will be no going back. This is the moment where everything we've shared must sink in, not just as words, but as a shift inside of you. Because if you've truly been listening, something has already changed. You're not the same person who pressed play at the beginning. You now see that wealth is not about luck, nor about being born into the right family. It's about deliberate choices repeated with discipline, and you are capable of making those choices starting today. So let's look ahead. Picture a future where your money no longer controls you. You control it. You walk into each day with clarity, knowing your habits are compounding into freedom. You no longer feel trapped in cycles of stress or scarcity. Instead, you're building a life that expands, a life that inspires. And the most powerful part? It's not out of reach. It's right there, waiting, if you commit to the habits you've now discovered. But I need to challenge you, right here, right now. Don't let this just be another inspiring video that fades when the screen goes dark. Take one step. Maybe it's saving that first 10%, maybe it's cutting one needless expense, maybe it's starting a journal of your financial decisions. One small action proves to yourself that you're serious. That step is your first brick in building the freedom you've imagined. And before you leave, there's one more truth you need to face. You've learned the habits, but what happens when life hits hard, when circumstances threaten to strip everything away? That's where most people break, and where the difference between wealth and struggle is revealed. Do you know how to make sure you'll never fall into that trap again? You're about to find out in the very next video, so don't wait. Go there right now. And if this message spoke to you, let me know below. Share your commitment. Write the step you'll take today because your words might inspire someone else in this community. Hit like, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. We're building something bigger here, and I want you to be part of it.